Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm here for my last video in the Troy Along, as hosted by Steve Donahue. This video is about books 19 through 24. And so yeah, basically in this last section, Achilles has finally taken to the battlefield again, and is basically, as Hector was earlier in the epic, he's a one-man army and kills hordes of Trojans, and also fights a river and defeats a river. And with his help, the Greeks drive the Trojans back into Troy, except for Hector, who decides to stand and fight Achilles, even though he knows that he's not really any match for Achilles. And they fight, and Hector gets killed, and Achilles drags Hector's corpse around Troy, I believe 3 times. And drags it back to the Greek camp, where he plans on not giving it any of the funeral rites that were usually accorded to dead people, and decides that he's going to try to deface this body of this man who has killed his friend, but the body's being preserved by the gods, because the gods like Hector, despite the fact that they let him die. Here's Achilles giving Patroclus his funeral rites. He had vowed to take 12 Trojans and sort of put them in a circle around Patroclus and burn them along with him as sort of a extra revenge for Patroclus being killed. And then Priam comes to Achilles' tent, and in secret, of course, in the night, and convinces him to give back Hector's body so that he can give him proper funeral rites, and the epic ends with Hector's funeral. And yeah, I don't have much in the way of too many thoughts on this section, other than that there are so many such powerful moments here, just human moments, that it almost, I would say, to offer analysis of them would seem to almost not cheapen it, but it would just seem inappropriate. Like I feel like they speak for themselves for how powerful they are. When Hector decides that he's going to stand and fight with Achilles one-on-one after the Trojans have retreated into the city, there's this part where Priam and Hecuba, his mother and father, try to convince him not to go, because they know that if he goes, he'll die. And basically, Priam and Hecuba sort of seem to know that Hector's just gonna go and not gonna listen to them, but they're crying out anyway. And Priam probably cries out my favorite line of the entirety of the Iliad, and he says, "Ah, were he but dear to the gods as he is dear to me." Anyway, again, to offer comment would seem inappropriate. A mother and a father just begging their son not to go to his death, even in spite of the fact that they know he's going to go anyway, is just incredibly powerful, and incredibly human. I don't think any mother or father would do any differently in a position like that. And then there's Achilles giving Patroclus his funeral rites, where, again, just the grief in that passage is just gorgeous. And, sorry, one other moment that I wanted to mention that I forgot, that, in terms of a moment, might be the most powerful for me, but, Hector's wife, Andromache, doesn't actually find out about his death by being told by anyone. She's just weaving at her loom, and hears cries from outside, and so it's described like this. Then from the tower she heard a wailing and a distant moan. Her knees shook, and she let her shuttle fall. And just the way that she just lets the shuttle fall when she realizes what happens, without even being told anything. Again, just a moment that has really stuck with me. What I was going to say about Achilles burying Patroclus was, I think, in terms of just a beautiful, long passage, I think that when Achilles goes to bury Patroclus is my favorite passage. The line from Priam is my favorite line, single line, but this is my favorite passage. So when Achilles first goes to burn Patroclus on his funeral pyre, the flames don't catch very well. And so Achilles asks the wind, the north and west wind, who are of course ruled by gods, to blow for him to fuel the fire, and they do. And just the description is just gorgeous. The north and west winds issued with a wondrous cry, both driving cloud before them. Over open sea they blew in a rush and took their gusty way, as seas grew rough under the gale wind wailing. Then to the fertile plain of Troy they came and fell upon the pyre. The flame roared, blazing up terribly, and all night long they joined to toss the crest of fire high with keening blasts. And all night long Achilles dipped up wine from a golden bowl and poured his double cupfuls down, soaking the earth, and calling Patroclus's feeble shade. He mourned him as a father mourns a newly married son whose death is anguish to his kin. Just so Achilles mourned his friend and gave his bones to the great flame to be devoured. With dragging steps and groans he moved about the pyre. And yeah, so anyway, that's probably my favorite passage. And then of course there's the moment where Priam comes to Achilles' tent, and they kind of have this moment where they both just kind of weep together over their losses. These two men who are obviously enemies, just kind of sharing their sorrow together. And yeah, anyway, I do think that the final two books of the Iliad are probably some of the most powerful literature ever written. And it will stick with me for a long time. So anyway, that is all I have to say about the Iliad. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.